A lot of positive word of mouth can get me to do a lot of things. Read a book, watch a movie or series, get into a podcast. Yeah, Geek Sleeps and Joysticks is pretty good. And playing the game is probably on the top of the list, but to be completely honest, it does take me some time to do so. Word of mouth will get the game on the list, and the more good I hear, the higher it starts to climb up the ladder. And that's what happened with A Plague Tale: Innocence. But there's always been one issue that I've been dreading, and it's the main reason why it's been so long on my playlist. And that is, I hate rats. I didn't even want to Google one to put it on the video. And this is how the game greets me in the main menu. No lie, I was shivering. I almost considered not playing it. I was disgusted. But there's a second game that looks like it does what few sequels do, which is get better. So before I get to experience that, I need to conquer this disgust to see if all this positive word of mouth about A Plague Tale: Innocence is well deserved. Developed by Asobo Studios and released in 2019, A Plague Tale: Innocence takes place in 1348 during the 100 Years' War between England and France. You play as Amicia Darun, a 15-year-old French woman who, along with her 5-year-old brother Hugo, after a traumatizing scene involving the family dog, narrowly escaped the French Inquisition, who are searching for Hugo, who's been ill since birth, requiring non-stop attention from their mother, who has sheltered him while trying to find a cure. Hugo will sometimes get these attacks, creating headaches and making him hear some sort of voices. And if all that wasn't enough, a horde of nasty, vile rats have been spreading the Black Plague known as the Bite. After escaping their estate, the kids are off to find a doctor named Laurentius at a nearby village, in hopes that he can find them this cure and ultimately get them to safety. It's weird because I can definitely relate to this whole plague scenario right now, since I literally played this while sick with the Rona, but the village being boarded up, empty streets, doors marked, it just hit differently now. Graphically, it's gorgeous, which is a pretty weird word to describe this game since there's so many disturbing scenes of like gutted animals and piles of dead bodies, but it also offers at times a break from all the nasty, with beautiful seasonal colors on the leaves, blue skies, and the lighting is great as well. I enjoyed this take on the 14th century. I've seen and played games in this era before, but A Plague Tale is just so grounded and impactful. It's very moving and powerful. It makes you feel everything, very visceral. Maybe because it's through the eyes of the kids, which is where the innocence comes in. It comes from Hugo being sheltered his whole life and being distracted by things like frogs, but I felt like everything was designed to have an impact, from the visuals to the story to the music and also the gameplay. The game ultimately comes down to being chased, sneaking around, slight combat, being chased some more, but the scenarios in which he's coming is what makes the game fun. Amicia feels a bit slow, but really smooth even while sprinting. I think that was by design to slow the game down to a more realistic pace, especially when she's walking while holding Hugo's hand. I think it's intentional to add a sense of urgency and create palpable tension and stress. Initially, I thought, oh great, it's going to be a giant escort mission, and thinking Hugo will just be in the way. But even though he does have his childish moments of running away and creating a sticky situation, Hugo kind of feels more like an extension of Amicia. You can have him stay put while you go somewhere to get something, but if you leave him too long or stray too far, he starts making a fuss. I rarely use that, to be honest. I just dragged him along with me. You can also ask him to crawl through small places to fetch something that's slightly out of reach or climb onto something, and same goes for a handful of characters that join your journey later on. And they never feel like they get in the way, which is a great thing. Back to the gameplay though, Amicia is equipped with a sling to shoot rocks at enemies or objects to create distractions for stealth purposes, or break stuff to bring things down, etc. The sling feels responsive and takes a second to get used to the wind-up that charges up for the accuracy. It feels tight and it has a nice little weight to it. Nailing a guard in the head is so satisfying. It's a pretty unique weapon. You don't see this too often in games, and they nailed it here. It's super fun to use. You really can't get into like a rock fight with enemies. You can't huddle up and cover and pop up and throw rocks at them, because once you get spotted, enemies charge at you, start shooting arrows or throwing lances, and it's one hit death, you're done. There was one instance where it felt like a boss battle. They had a certain hit points on their armor, so you have to dodge their attacks and sling rocks at the points in the armor to slowly strip away the armor and eventually get them with the headshot. It was only one of these battles, and I wish they had a way more. It was super fun, and it happened so early. I thought this was going to be a constant way of battling in the game. Instead, you must be sneaky. Like I mentioned, you can throw rocks and other items to distract guards or kill your way through at times. The edge of the screen will glow a little bit where their enemies are present, but for stealth, you really have to be patient. Guards will take their sweet time to move. Even though it felt kind of easy to get away, if you get caught, you just run away and hide. Although I'm blind and I usually need help to see, I'm glad that there wasn't some sort of detective mode or eagle vision here. It would take me out for the realism the game is going for. Guards aren't the only enemies to worry about. We also have the aforementioned nasty vile horde of rats. Their weakness is light, so finding light and fire is the main way to deal with them. The game is linear, but it feels way bigger than it actually is because the world feels lived in. You will come across collectibles like codexes and artifacts of interest, but mainly you'll find materials to use at workbenches for upgrades on Amicia's pouch, ammunition, sling, etc. Later on, you will develop some alchemy skills to create better projectiles to help through your journey, like Ignifer, which ignites things on fire, Somnum to put enemies to sleep, Deverantis, which is a corrosive mixture that melts metal, and many more different fun projectiles. Towards the end, there's a total of 9 equipable items, and there's a wheel with all of these on it. I just wish that there was a quick button to cycle through instead of having to pull up the wheel every time. There are no crazy puzzles. I wouldn't even call them puzzles. I would call them more like obstacles to pass through. They're pretty easy to figure out, like knock down the thing to get the thing, or light the fire to move the rats out of the way. And if you do take too long, the kids will start mentioning something real quick, helping you solve the obstacle. I only really had trouble with one section towards the end, but that was totally on me because I was impatient, I wanted to go Rambo, and that's not how it was supposed to be done. So difficulty wise, it's pretty easy, and that's the only difficulty you get. But the game is not about that. It's about the journey. As mega cheesy as that sounds, it truly is. The story towards the end doesn't maintain the realness the rest of the game has, but the way every element comes together nicely and complements each other made me want to keep going to see how it was going to end. The music is another element that adds to the stress, with dramatic violin strings and beating drums and sneaky altercations, or in moments of intense battles, and sometimes a rather chill and calming song while out of danger. Every sound is suitable for each situation. The sound design of the horde of rats coming together is just piercing and sounds like pure evil. If I think about the rats too long, I start to shiver, so I kind of ignored them and thought there was some kind of darkness or heartless thing, but I'm okay. But the sound certainly doesn't help. The voice actors did a great job. They have a slight French accent and they're believable in every line they deliver. I never really felt that they came off cheesy or overacted. The journey is about 12 hours long, and I enjoyed every second of it. I was surprised by how emotional it is. It's not a perfect game, but other than the wheel and maybe the speed of the game, the loading is a tad too long. That's it. I really don't have many complaints except for how disgusting the damn rats are. But that was the game's purpose. And I'm glad I pushed through because the game sucks you in and peels your eyelids back to the horror occurring in this world. And as you play as a child, you're made to feel defenseless, hopeless, and weak even, but I do feel like Amicia is one of the toughest characters in gaming today, and I can't wait to see what horrors A Plague Tale Requiem, the second game, has in store for us. Those are my thoughts on A Plague Tale Innocence. Please let me know what you think. Have you played it? If you want to, but afraid of the rats, any and all thoughts, please let me know, and any recommendations for future videos are welcome as well. Thoughts on the sequel, anything. Let's talk about it down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. It would really help out the channel, as well as sharing the video and subscribing. Any help would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for watching, and remember, always and forever, you do you.